Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with C&Cc with our new friend, Amer Abdallah, a savage's savage, a absolute animal of the ring and of the boardroom. What else can we say about this man? He's turning up. He fits in with our mold. You are aerodynamic and beautifully done. You have an abundant amount of stubble, my friend. Welcome to the Cuties, my friend. How are you?
Thank you so much for joining us, brother.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for having me. It's an absolute honor. Now, are we done?
Likewise.
I mean, the introduction is probably enough for the whole show, isn't it?
There we are. Cut it, clip it, we're good to go.
I'm going to be chiming in because this man is the most humble man in the universe. So, like, I'm going to be bigging up in the corner just to make sure it all comes out. Just a bit of personal background. Amer is an absolute legend of a human. First interaction, he helped me fulfill lifelong dream. The training with the Mailers, all down to this man. I cannot thank you enough. Off that was nice enough. It turns out the man does a million different things. Was nice enough to drive me home in the car. Just casually mentions, "Oh yeah, still do a bit of fighting and this sort of stuff."
Sure.
Turns out he's undefeated. Next fight's for a world title, which he just smashed. He's one of those guys. So he's going to be super humble. I will chime in if I need to be the cheerleader. So thank you for joining us.
Would you go as far to say that you're a complete namaste warrior samurai kind of vibe, like a pure martial artist? There's no trash talk.
No, I wish I was. No, I'm not a trash talk kind of guy. I think I'm very, when you have a certain level of confidence and just, I don't want to say accomplishment because I'm not anywhere near where I want to accomplish, but just that,
who is
you see,
yeah,
this is what I'm talking.
That's it. Yeah.
When you're satisfied in life, man. You can, you don't have to pound your chest for anything.
That's still funny though, isn't it? Like I personally like to pound my chest on really ridiculous things. Like I will beat my 4-year-old and my 6-year-old daughters in a foot race and then give it.
Because every win, man. Every win counts.
That's what I'm saying. They've got to learn that sometimes, you know, if they lose, they learn, whatever.
Yeah, don't worry about the fact that, you're racing somebody 10 times their size and speed.
I mean, I look a lot bigger than what I am. I feel like I'm about
details,
6'4", but I'm about, I'm I don't have to bend over too much to crawl under a ring, if I'm honest, right? So it's any wind counts.
Also, happy belated birthday, my brother.
Oh.
Literally the day I asked him to join us, turns out it was his birthday. He's still like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God, mate, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Did you have a good day?
I had a great day, man. You know, when you're at this age, the partying and not that I ever did, but the big celebrations aren't as meaningful as the people you surround yourself with that day, and just a nice, serene, peaceful, turn the phone off and just enjoy a regular, quiet day with the home team.
They're the ones, right? There's a certain like you if you're over, I'm going to say 30, and you have more than, let's say 7 to be very, very, very liberal. If you have more than 7 like ride or die friends, I think there's something wrong. I've got like 4. You know what I mean? Like you got to just chill and cut the circle.
I mean, there are affiliates and there are acquaintances.
Yes.
And there's friends, and then there's that home team, that inner circle.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good number.
Absolutely. So this is going to be absolutely cringe for you from what Streets has already given you a little bit of an intro, but don't worry. Look at the Cheshire Cat smile. He is ready to jump in. Right?
Let's go,
for
man.
our listeners, can you give us a little bit of a background on your good self?
I guess
Streets, jump.
in brief, I was always in touch with the business side of boxing, kickboxing, combat sports. My slogan is, "This is a business disguised as a sport."
Yeah.
And my father, he had 8 McDonald's restaurants in a small, upstate New York, where
nice.
I was born. I grew up, and I was always, attached to him in terms of the business part of things, the meetings and whatnot. So I think that early on developed a mindset of thinking outside of the box and always being a little bit more creative and looking for opportunities everywhere that I went. And of course, he forced me into martial arts when I was young. Very old traditional. I hate to use the word McDojo, but it wasn't one of those. It was a traditional Japanese style. It took you 8 years to get your black belt, not a weekend warrior that can get it in 3 months. And when you had a black belt, it meant something. It meant sacrifice and determination and dedication. And so I came up in that a very traditional karate style, and I started evolving. I was on the U.S. national team. I won a couple of national tournaments, placed a gold medal in the Junior Olympics. So I started just developing, and I wanted a little bit more of a need of more of a full contact based competition. So one of the guys that was in karate also with us was a U.S. champion kickboxing. So I kind of went under his wings, and he kind of fulfilled my needs in terms of what I was looking for, and I just fell in love with it. But no matter what, my passion was always boxing. Boxing was always in my heart. I just loved that sweet science. And kickboxing, went on, and I did very well. Thank God, I fought overseas. I fought around the world. I won, national titles. And then I turned pro. And just before I turned pro, I actually opened up my own gym. I was 19 years old. And
That's wild.
Yeah. And Ian, I'll tell you, I think I was the youngest, and they've labeled me as the youngest to ever promote a fight at 18 years old. We put on a nice production. Yeah. We put on a nice production in my hometown city, Lockport, New York, and they grew and they started evolving. And then I said, you know what? And mind you, I put my career on hold. I was still an amateur at that time,
right? And
I put my career on hold, and I started promoting fights. And I thought, why not promote my own fight? Nobody had ever done it at that stage. At that point, nobody had, in 1998, 1999, nobody had promoted their fights and fought on the card. So I if you want to pound my chest about something, I could probably say I'm the first guy to ever promote and fight on the same card.
Geez, and pressure, but my God.
Yeah.
I caught a lot of heat for it because people were, and especially, critics were, man, how are you going to promote and fight at your own card? But then I started thinking about it, man, like the gate, which are the tickets, the sponsorships. Yep. We didn't have any network then, but the network revenue, all of that. Why would I give up that percentage to somebody else?
For sure.
Absolutely.
So I started promoting myself. My pro debut, by the way, that was the only fight of my professional career that I didn't fight on my own promotion. And I actually fought. So he still is a great friend of mine, and we fought on that card. If you remember Angel Manfredi, the junior lightweight, lightweight of the world. So Angel,
he was contender, right?
Yeah, he flew in to surprise me for the fight, and he worked my corner for that fight. So it was amazing. After the fight, I got a check. I didn't know about negotiating bout contracts, anything like that. I was like, yeah, I'll fight on the card. And I fought a tough fight, Canadian champion. Actually, he went on to the UFC and he did very well.
You fought Sean Tompkins in your pro
yeah.
In your pro debut, you fought Sean Tompkins, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah.
And I got paid $250 at the end of the night. I was like, $250? Man, we're not even going to be able to eat dinner after this. So I kind of understood the business part of it. And I said, as much as I appreciate and I love my buddy who gave me an opportunity there, I said, financially, that doesn't make sense for me. So I went on to, I started my own promotion and started fighting under my own promotion and, just became my own boss very young. And then years later, Mayweather Promotions, Golden Boy, Klitschko, everybody started doing that and just kind of took that part of it.
Yeah.
After I achieved a world title, I retired, and I just did full time, kind of just into the boxing, kickboxing, business side of things, and just managing, advising. So, and I did an interview yesterday. Coincidentally, we talked about the same lines. Is I think if I can even use the word success, the reason why I think I find success is because I've touched every part of this game, from a fighter,
you've done it all,
to a manager, to a coach, to an advisor, to a promoter. So when I'm negotiating for my guys, I'm negotiating. I know what they're thinking. I know what the other side's thinking. I know where I am. So I've touched every part of that. And I think that's why we've been able to find the success.
That is priceless. We had a guest last night. He's a bare knuckle fighter, And back when he fought with gloves, he was on a really big promotion. He was telling us it, like, I think he even got fractures, but his eyes were swollen shut. And basically the promoters all nice driving him in. As soon as he was out the ring, they're like, get a taxi to the hospital. You know, someone who's been a fighter would never do that. You know, when you've seen every side.
Disgusting, isn't it?
That's a great point. That's a great point. At the end of the day, what it comes down to is if you were ever in that position, you'd know what not to do. And I think that's where there's a big disconnect between managers and fighters, promoters and fighters, even trainers and fighters. I mean, there's a lot of great trainers that have never fought before, so you really don't know what it's like building up. So Badu Jack, who I manage now, you know, he's now 36, 37 years old. And I fought up until I was 39. I know what his body is going through. I know mentally what he's thinking. So sometimes, you know, people around him will tell him, you got to do this, this, this. And I'm telling him, brother, you need to sleep. You need to rest.
Yeah.
Because rest at that stage, you know, becomes just as important, if not more important than training. And, you know, Badu's goes 100 miles an hour when it comes to that. So just touching those different facets of the sport, I think, is what really
I think that's so important, and I think there needs to be more guys like you that are so like multi-level experienced, because you know everything that I've got a couple of pro friends, Ian's got a bunch of pro friends. You know, the stories that we hear from those guys about, you know, without
Cowboys,
it's not even about naming names. It's such an exploitative business that, like you said, if someone had been through it, they would never do it for someone. And most of the time when a national level fighter never really gets their opportunity to go up to continental or world stage, they normally become very good trainers because they understand the pitfalls that they've had, which sounds like pretty much how you handle. Because, you know, Bodu, like, imagine being told your option is Bodu Jack. You would just go, really? Like, and you know what I mean?
He
like,
doesn't know how to have a bad fight. That guy. Oh my God. What? And also too, not throwing that term around lightly, but almost a modern day great man, Muhammad Ali. Like the stuff he does outside of the ring is what you guys do. I even saw with your Ripper Nutrition, where you were donating 100% of the proceeds to charity. And whenever you travel, he's like, you know, take me to the kids. Where can I help? That dude, animal inside the ring, saint outside of it.
No, but in Badu, and I tell him, I go, brother, I don't want you to be in fights of the year anymore. Don't just go in there and just whoop these guys. Just don't make it. I don't want an entertaining fight. I just want to win and walk away. But he always finds a way to do that. But the reason I said that was after the Marcus Brown fight, when you're talking about 3 layers of stitches, one of the worst cuts in boxing.
That was, oh my God.
We were talking about that on Monday with Tony Weeks. Because you know, that is just, it's just the amount of memes that come from that fight alone.
The blood.
Astonishing, right?
Yeah. And immediately after that fight, he said, you know, I just want to go to the camp. You know, he dedicated that fight to the refugees. And he said to me, you know, he's got, mind you, he's getting stitched up. He goes, imagine what these kids go through every single day. He goes, man, I get stitched up by a cosmetic surgeon. These kids don't have anything. So, you know, I looked at him, and sometimes, you know, I'm in awe of Badu because of the person that he is, because of, you know, the stature of his character, because of what he stands for. And you talk about humble. This is a guy that, I mean, he pisses me off because of how little he talks about himself. I have to be his Ian. I have to be the guy, you know, pushing the man. And if it was up to him, there would be no Badu Jack Foundation, because he would do everything secretly on the side as he was doing. And I told him, man, use this platform so that you can do more. It's not to pat this up on the back. It's to do more. Yeah, you respect it, but also you're like, you can do so much more if you play the game a little bit, despite how against. Yeah. So I mean, that's where we are right now with Badu, and, you know, we've got a lot of great things happening, and you know, it's just one step at a time. I think the Badu Jack Foundation will, by the way, will be bigger for Badu than his boxing career. Yeah. In terms of what he's accomplished in life.
Yeah, that's incredible. Is he out on November 28th? I saw.
Yeah, he is.
He is. The Mike Tyson Roy Jones fight. The Legends Only League. Mike started, and they had, you know, 3 fights that they had for that card. Triller had, you know, another slot, so Mike took the one. He gave me the other 2, so I put Badu and Vidal Riley, another one of my cruiserweights, on the card also. So It'll be great November 28th.
Are you excited for that?
Oh man, come on! You're talking about.
Are you going to be there? Are you going to be in the stadium?
Yeah, God willing. I mean, we still don't know what it looks like audience-wise. More than likely, it won't be any spectators. But come on, man. Ian, how do you feel about a Roy Jones versus Mike Tyson in your
Don't get me started, mate. Don't get me started.
Amer, it's the reason we started this. Literally the reason we started it, because we were
first
talking.
episode was about that fight.
We were talking on FaceTime, and it was just like we got to have a go at it. And that was a while ago now.
Talking about two icons, and mind you, I mean, you guys are 50 plus, but you go around Mike Tyson right now, and you look at him and you tell him he's 50 plus.
Yeah.
Different animal, different breed.
Also, too, like Rob, you would have seen the video. Amer's leading their prayer as well. You know, he's in all of it. When you look,
you're there in all of it.
Every fight you look, you're like, there he is.
There he is.
Little screenshots sometimes.
Yeah. No, I mean, we're Muslims in faith, and when we were at the ranch, Baidu said, "Hey, brother, you want to pray? It was the second prayer of the day." And I said, "Yeah." And Mike goes, "I'd like to pray with you guys if you don't mind." So I said, "No, of course not." And mind you, the last time I was in New York, we prayed together also. So Mike, has that kind of faith in him. So when we prayed, Triller was there, the production company, and they were filming. So they asked. They said, "Do you mind if we film this?" And I said, I don't know, as long as Mike's okay with it being filmed. And Mike goes, no. He goes, as long as you're okay being filmed, I don't have a problem. Imagine a man like even that humble, a legend, and he's worried about me being okay filming the prayer. So, but it was great. I mean, it was, that's Mike Tyson. If you ever have the opportunity or the pleasure to talk to him, aside from him being as brutal and as reckless, and I say reckless during that time in his prime, as brutal and tenacious as he was, he's probably one of the most insightful people that you'll ever meet in your life. Just the knowledge that he drops. He was talking to Vidal Riley, and Vidal was talking about, different careers and things like that. And Mike goes, the grass always seems greener on the other side, but guess what? Both sides got to get cut. And that kind of insight that he has. And there's a couple of jewels that he's dropped that I always carry with me. And look up to him in terms of his experience, but also the wisdom that he has.
I mean, the man has
5 lifetimes, isn't he?
50 lives, the things he's been through. What was fascinating, his Rogan podcast from a year ago, and the one recently, because it's the mic in the old mic in the eyes, but with the new wisdom, it was incredible. Like you said, it's just, he's so deep. Like people, that if they listen at face value, when you listen to what he's saying, and who else would you want to listen to? That man's been through everything,
Yeah, exactly. Ian, you said it right there. The man, what would we say? Good judgment comes from experience. Experience comes from bad judgment. And that man has more experience than 99% of people, 99.9% of people that you meet. Just the ups and the downs. And I mean, you grew up with your mother, on drugs, and your father being what he was, and not in your being foster child to foster home to jail to in and out to at 20 years old, the heavyweight champion of the world, making $20 million a fight. How do you adjust?
Yeah.
Who tells you what to do? How can you control that?
No one.
Exactly. No. And that's why
we were saying that, from Mike's perspective, from purely an emotional loss perspective, he lost his mother. He lost his then father in cars. He lost then the next point of call, which was Jack. And then, he's tragically lost a child. Like the amount of tragedy that he has had probably outweighs the amazing highs. And it's just like we said, 50 lifetimes. You're talking about
also a microscope and a magnifying glass on
the
every
whole time
move you make in your life. And then imagine this. Imagine you at 19 years old and then you at 45 years old. And when you're at 45, people ask you about what you did when you were 19 years old. Only because you had every single move you make, you were criticized, looked at, dissected, analyzed, spoken about, aired everywhere. Come on, man. Believe me, I wouldn't want some of the stuff that happened 5 years ago coming back out, let alone
No.
20 years ago or 30 years ago.
My biggest thing that I'm thankful is that I'm old enough that we did all our stupidness before cameras were around.
Yep.
And he didn't get that. And like every camera's on him. It's not just like your mate with a camera. He's the biggest face in the world. You've got to think today, 20.
Yeah,
Let me just say, at 19,
blame the guy for being so angry with some of the reporters in the media because
of course not.
I had a bad day at the airport. How many times at the airport you get pissed off from a TSA you're lugging in that, and they film him, and then he goes and he assaults the guy for filming him while he's upset. Oh, Mike Tyson just assaulted a cameraman, and then he goes, the guy just can't catch a break.
Yeah, when you're constantly being hounded just on mundane day-to-day function. There's going to be, like, we all have days. Like, I'm a chill guy. Ian is the most chill, and you seem even chiller than him. Like, but all three of us have days where we get up and we're just like, if I bump into that whatever one more time, if I do one more time, the sound of the shrieking children, every now and again, you're just like, I don't need this now. Now imagine you go outside and you're dropping the kids to school and you've got people taking pictures of you, wanting your time, wanting your energy. No, I'm surprised he didn't kill someone.
Or when he's at the fights and that guy's like all grabbing on it. Like, he doesn't know that guy. You don't touch people you don't know.
Touch people, yeah.
And it's Mike Tyson too. What, you insane?
What are you risking,
If he
dude?
wanted to, he would murder you. He should get a charity award for that.
Think they talk about all the good things that he does or all the nice things? No, they're going to identify the one bad moment that he has.
Yep.
And they're going to keep that on top of him. So when you see, Mike Tyson highlights, you look at the savage moments of his career. What about all the great things that he did?
Yeah.
It's funny. And that's why he's built up that wall. So 3 or 4, I don't know, probably a few years back, we were in New York and we were doing an event there. And I said, Mike, we're going to go to dinner. And he goes, is it dinner or am I going to be a spectacle?
Oh.
And it was like, he gutted me with that. And I've never told him
that,
but he gutted me with that question, like, is it really dinner or am I going to be, like a full, like.
What do you say to that?
Sense, right? Until.
Yeah.
What do you say to that?
What do you say to that?
Trust me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, well, what are you going to say to him?
Yeah.
No, I got you. Yeah, he's been screwed over by more people than we know. The people that took millions and millions, what do you say, 300, 400 million that was stolen from him over his lifetime.
And we talk about that inner circle. Those were from people that he thought were in his inner circle.
What are you going to say to him? No, trust me, we're okay.
Yeah, we're good. Don't worry. Just, don't worry. I got you. We'll be all right.
Yeah, trust me, I got you.
Yeah.
But just that question is kind of, you can't trust anybody.
I mean, from, you can answer this and we'll cut this little bit out, but from an interaction point with someone like Mike, are you constantly tiptoeing that line between, like, because is he going to see it as less or more? I mean, obviously you seem very authentic to me, but is it a constant battle of feeling like at any moment he's going to think, I'm trying to do something to him?
I'm tiptoeing on whether or not to disclose this story because it's so we did a deal one time, and I was dealing with a representative of Mike's, and I didn't know what the deal between Mike and the rep was. Okay. But the rep also, his email address was x@miketyson.com. So he was his rep. Okay. And he got me a contract, and when we signed it, it was Mike's signature on there. So it was authentic. Now, mind you, I had never talked to Mike or his wife Kiki about that deal, but I was going through his agent who he was using. And everything was great up until a day before the event in which Mike's wife called me. And she said, and by the way, she's an absolute sweetheart, but when you talk about a beast of a businesswoman, that's her. You can credit all of Mike's recent success, and I say recent probably in the last 8 to 10 years, to her. The refacing of Mike Tyson and the movies and the cartoons and all of that, that's attributed to her.
That was a big cartoon. That I love that.
Yeah, mashallah. just a great person and great businesswoman, great family they come from. But she called and she said, I just want to kind of go over everything. I could we talked. And we talked about in one particular part of it, and she goes, well, that's not the agreement. And I go, it is the agreement. And she goes, no, brother. She goes, here's what I sent you. I go, no, but that was one of the sticking points that I had when I send it back to person. Let's call him Mr. X.
Yep.
Send it back to, let's call him Ian. No, let's call him.
That'll kill me, man. Don't do that.
Please don't make this awkward and now switch it up to Rob, because that's going to make it very awkward for all of us.
So when I told her about Mr. X, she goes, no. She goes, show me yours. So I showed her my copy of it where he changed it and he initialed it. And he had told me, he said, don't send it back to them because it'll take too long. He goes, I'll just initial it and it'll be fine. And it was one of my sticking points. And Mike had never agreed to it. She goes, I don't know who he thinks he's working with.
Wow.
But we never knew about that.
Now, that's something that's astonishing for me, because, the people that know me know that that's not the sort of thing in my makeup. I'm very black and white. What I say is what happens. Shake a hand, normally it's enough, right? You're doing this contractually, and you're doing this contractually with professionals. And on top of that, at the very summit of that agreement, is one of the most terrifying human beings to have ever lived.
You guys swear on the show?
Huh?
You guys swear on the show?
Yeah.
And you're fucking over Mike Tyson? Are you stupid?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
that is
the man has a tribal tattoo on his fucking face. He doesn't have a tattoo like on the forehead. It's around his eye. Okay?
No,
what do you think is going to happen? You stupid motherfucker.
When it's time to finalize the business, where are you going to be?
Yeah.
So,
Mars, if you do that.
I had the pleasure of meeting one of his handlers, who was a very close friend of mine, and he came in and he goes, he knew about it, but Mike didn't know about it yet. So he came in and he goes, we've got a little bit of a situation. He goes, I said, yeah. He goes, listen, let the signing guy, let him talk to him about it. He goes, and then while we get him situated in the luggage and everything. So he and I'm trying not to give too many details.
Yeah. Understood.
So we ended up, we got everything. We got back in the car, and I'm sitting with Mike, and he is just hearing about it. So he looks at me, and I was like, oh my God, the 1989 Mike is here. His eyes.
Did it glaze over and just go, this reptilian motherfucker, I'm going to get fucking hard out.
So he goes, Brother Amer, come sit next to me.
Oh. I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. And you're just like, oh.
Next to him, and he goes, tell me about yourself.
Oh, wow.
This is the first meeting I think this is the first deal that we did.
My cheek is twitching, by the way, in anticipation of this. It's giving me nervous.
I go, look, brother. I go, there's a lot of good and bad. Let's just talk about the issue. And he goes, no. He goes, fuck the good. I just want to hear the bad. Tell me everything bad that you did. That's what I want to hear.
Okay.
And I go, this guy is in a different zone. Man. This guy's in a different zone. I go, well, let's talk about Mr. X. He goes, oh, don't worry about that. He goes, we're going to have fun with that later. He goes, no, I want to hear about it's kind of like, if you allow me to say, it's kind of like foreplay. Like he's just having fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He could tell it. This is that foot that Mike Tyson always has on that side. Like it takes this just to put him down.
I mean, somewhere right now, Mr. X is just getting out the boot of someone's car for his daily, for just his daily walk around the forest and having his hair brushed by whatever owns him now, and he's regretting things.
He's back at the hotel, in the city that we were doing the event in a very posh, luxurious room.
Of course, so on Mike's dollar.
On the events dollar, yeah.
Yeah, of course it was.
Of course. So we get into the hotel, and you could just see it in the back of his mouth. He's putting on a front, but you could tell this is the savage guy that just rained havoc on the world. Is walking in. So he says to me, he goes, call Mr. X to my room. So we had two security guys with us. They were police officers. And I looked back, and I said, okay, champ. And I looked back, and I go, stay close. I got this huge event that we're doing. It's sold out, and it's like we've got all this media that's going to be there. I'm like, this is going to be a disaster. This is going to be a disaster. And mind you, I got screwed over also.
Of course you did.
Because I've got my money on the deal.
Yeah.
So if Mike gets pissed off and Mike starts popping off, because he doesn't give a shit about money. The bottom line is, if you disrespect this man, and rightfully so, you're going to pay for it. And I have so much admiration for him in that regard. So we get up to the room, and just that glaze over his eyes comes on. He's looking at me, and mind you, I'm pretty confident in myself, but I looked at him and I had to look away.
I blame you, mate.
No, I did not want the second part of that interaction to happen, so I looked away. And in his mind, he said, "I just broke him," and that's fine with me.
Yeah,
it's fine with me because I don't have anything to hide. Right? I have everything that I took care of. So the guy comes in the room, and the guy, upon seeing Mike, just kind of, and mind you, this is not the same guy. This is not the same, personality of the guy that I saw that I've been dealing with. And he was like, "Oh, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. I'm gonna ask Mike to do this. I'm gonna tell him to do this." Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, "Oh man, this guy's got his stuff together." But when he saw Mike, so Mike says to him, "Sit on the bed." I'm thinking, "Oh my God." So I'm kind of just assessing, and I'm always aware of my surroundings.
Yeah.
So he tells the cops, he goes, "Get the F outside."
Sure.
So to me, Mike, his handler, his assistant, and Mr. X.
And X. Are you by any chance looking at X, looking at him going, "I can't help you"?
You know what? There was a moment that, and I'm going to say this openly. I'm probably going to regret telling you the story, but there was a moment that I thought, this is worth every fucking penny I just
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, what? Who could be able to tell this story?
Oh.
So I sat, and I was like, what is going on? But I'm nervous because I've got, all my staff, and the event is booked, it's packed, everybody wants, it's the first time Mike's come to Buffalo in 30, 40 years. At that point, when he was in Catskill, that was the last time he was up there. It was really the first time he was there since he was heavyweight champion of the world. Oh shit! I just said the story. That's okay.
We'll cut that bit out.
Yeah, you're good. So the guy comes and he goes, "Get my wife on the phone." So she's on speaker, and he goes, "Hey baby, how are you?" He's
Sweet as anything.
Conversation, and she's like, "Is Mr. X in the room?" And he said, "Yeah, he is." Guess what? Mr. X tried to fuck me over. And he tried to fuck over Brother Amer also. And the guy just, "No, Mike, that's not what I was trying to do. No, here's what I was looking at. This is it." He goes, No. He goes, "Here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to the bank right now. And you're going to empty out everything you have in your account. And you're going to bring it to me." I'm like, oh, shit. So, long story short, I want to save you guys some of the details that might be embarrassing. The guy did everything that Mike told him.
Understandably.
Maybe off camera, I'll tell you the details of it.
That maybe when we finally get our act together and get a Patreon up, we'll put that behind a paywall, and we'll cut you in, Brother Amer. We'll get you in.
That's for your viewers. Like, once we start making money, guys, we'll tell you.
When we start getting them clicks, then we get you back on double.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the end part of it. The end part of it was after we went through everything, Mike says to him, "You're going to go back to Vegas today." And he's like, "No, I don't leave until Monday." He goes, No. Mother effer, your flight's now. I go, "Mike, I got it. I'll take care of it. We'll call him a cab. We'll call him the limo." He goes, No. He's walking to the airport.
Oh, he went mob boss on him.
We're talking about November in upstate New York. It was freezing.
Yeah.
Mind you, that night, 7 feet of snow fell. It was like one of the record-breaking numbers. and he made him walk to the airport. But
Again,
what happened in the middle part, by the way, that was the least that happened to him. Like, he was probably like, thank God I'm out of here. I'm out.
yeah. I've lost 4 toes in frostbite on the way home, but I'm pretty good with the way that this has turned out. I feel like I've done all right.
But look, so let's say, and if you allow me to even use you guys as an example, like if you and I got screwed over by somebody, you'd sit down and say, what did you do? What happened? Man, mute your phone, Ian.
No, it's someone trying to get into the building, and what they do is that they press all of the buttons, and I'm to be honest, I'm holding it together before I start throwing things at them.
Before you pull a Tyson. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if we probably sit down to listen, this is what's got to happen to it. But a guy that's been screwed over his entire career is just expecting, especially like you said, somebody close to him, he reacts differently than us.
Of course,
this is a guy that really, when you sit down, you genuinely, like when anytime I see Mike and we embrace, like he'll pull me in extra. He's a beautiful person. Right?
He genuinely seems it.
Yeah,
right? He genuinely,
but he's been molded. He's been molded to be defensive about everybody that he interacts with. So how do you blame a guy like that?
And
so
also, he should be judged on because you have a real relationship with him, right?
Yeah.
He knows he can trust you. And then so you see the real Tyson. The people that just see they're the ones that have been fucking him over. So they don't deserve the right to see. And you know what I mean?
And mind you, Ian, I don't discount the fact that he could probably, but the same guys, there was people that were closer to him than I am to him. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm sure that those thoughts run through his mind about me too. And I get it. And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with it.
But that's why I asked, right? Because there's got to be times with some of the interactions where it's not telling him what he doesn't want to hear, but you're telling him what's not going to be. If something goes wrong, you're telling him, and are you then concerned that there's that thing that he's fucking me over, and like is it a constant scramble to try and keep on that even balance, or is it just be you, be honest, be real, and that's all you can do, right?
And you, see, I never say just trust me. I say question me.
Yeah.
Question everything that I do. Question me. Believe me. I haven't. I mean, I've been through enough in my life also where I didn't always make great decisions in my life. And I think that's where I'm very comfortable in my own skin now, and very comfortable in where I am in life now, because I've tried shortcuts, and I've tried, and nothing bad. But I've tried the shortcuts, and I've tried doing things fast and doing things the right way, and maybe jumping over certain things. So I'm very comfortable. And listen, if you're transparent about everything, and it's the ethically, morally the right way to do things, then you have nothing to worry about. So
Absolutely.
I'm okay. Talking about any kind of deal, talking about everything, because everything's on the table. Everything is very upfront. And just
can we all just agree that you've made the right choice in the haircut beard combo? Because it does fit in with us.
100%.
100%.
This is the way to go.
Yeah, it's so
An
free.
honorable cutie.
Yeah.
So free.
With Mike, I mean, because we did what did we do? Like days of research, and we did a long episode on Customato. And basically what we come to at the end of it was that, unfortunately the end of his system and program for Mike wasn't implemented because he passed away, unfortunately. And I think he even said on Rogan, like, all he was built to be a conqueror, a destroyer, a warrior. And the part of maybe that system that was implemented for Floyd Patterson and Jose Torres, because they went on to have, afterlives after boxing.
Yeah.
That unfortunately wasn't given to Mike. And then, like, we all know the story that, he got hoodwinked. Again, let's circle back to do you know what the word bollocks means in?
What is it?
Bollocks. It means testicles.
You guys have your own language.
Listen, the Brits have their own language, but also when you're from certain areas, I think there's 36 dialects of English within London alone, right?
Probably. Like when Vidal comes, he'd be like, "You want me to throw this in the bin? The fuck's a bin?"
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, shit, yeah.
Exactly. Like a bin.
In the garage. What?
Yeah, the garage. Unfortunately, due to Corona, that's where I do the majority of my business at the moment is outside of garages in the apartment complex, because gyms are a myth at the minute.
There aren't two
Um,
R's on there. It's garage.
Garage. Um, but yeah, like circling back to that question, how big a set of balls have you got to have to try and scam Mike?
I think
Like,
there's a fine line between a set of balls or
And
stupidity.
yeah, but it has to be just like cavalier stupidity, right?
I think that in his mind, he probably got comfortable with his relationship with Mike.
What, to steal from him or to mess around? That's not getting comfortable. That's a violation, no?
That's a fucking death wish, is
Yeah.
what it is. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
I can't relate to that. So I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I don't know what his thought process was. And mind you, he took money from me also, but you know, and him and I had a conversation after, and he made whole on what he took from me. But I don't think that you know, men are moved by two things: self-interest and fear. I don't think it was in his self-interest to pay me. I think it was the fear of Mike putting into them, and I just kind of resignated throughout our short relationship that we had.
To be fair, without fluffing you, your CV is not something to muck about with. Like, whatever Mike didn't do, you were more than capable of doing, just as a sweep up, just in case.
I think if push comes to shove, you know, that's always, you know, that's always the last resort. But again, I think that's why my demeanor is the way that it is. I don't have anything to prove. What I needed to prove, I did. I don't have to go around walking around. You know, I'll be the first to back down from anything. I just don't have. That's not a part of my character, you know.
Yeah. With the Tyson Roy fight, unfortunately, you must be bored to death even being spoken to about it, right? I know you're part of it. Are you like? Because for me personally, I'm 50-50, like fanboy. Like my first boxing memory is Tyson Bruno. Like that is it. I was about 5. And you know, that is it. That's my first memory. It was a VHS. It had Tyson Bruno 1 written on it. I watched it until it stopped working, right? I was 5 then. I'm 38 now. And then Big Mike's back again with Roy. I equally want to see it and don't want to see it at the same time personally. But mainly I do want to see it, and I feel bad about myself for wanting to see it. You know, that's the problem.
The before the 80s or the 90s, the first or the second fight?
The first fight. I think it was like, or maybe, yeah, it must have been the first fight.
Tail end of the 80s, yeah.
Yeah, like 89, 88-ish.
What year?
I think 88, 89.
Yeah, that was the first one. Okay.
Yeah, it was definitely the first one. It was the one where he clocked him, like Bruno clocked him, and it was just like, you fucked up, Frank.
Yeah. Not the one where he knocked him out in the third or fourth.
No, not the one where Frank went in terrified of what was coming. This was the one where he thought, I'll have a little something.
Knew.
Yeah. He'd already felt it before, and you know, got the gig because of that one shot that he landed, and looked like it was. Oh, all right, you're getting it now.
He stopped him in the first fight too, didn't he?
I thought it was the first fight. Yeah.
No, the second one was the mauling.
The second one was just like, that was assault, brother. It was almost like, Mike killed a guy. You know, it was bad. Yeah.
That epic photo of the uppercut.
Yeah. So are you all for it?
Am I what?
Are you all for the spectacle, the event? Like, you know, let's be honest, it's going to be a landslide, biggest sporting event of 2020. You know, hopefully Mike wins. Hopefully it lines up the Tyson film, which, let's be honest, me and Ian are going to sit in London holding hands, watching it.
Of course you are.
Of course we are. And to be honest, I'm more than happy to get you on a FaceTime so you can be part of the crew and just sit in between us while it goes on.
I'll watch the rerun with you guys on FaceTime.
Yeah.
Listen, these guys are prize fighters.
Yes. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, but
legendary ones.
Their whole careers, they've built up the accolades and the accomplishments and the victories and the losses to be able to cash out. This is their cash out fight.
Yeah.
Am I a fan of 55-year-old and 53-year-old men fighting? No, I'm not.
Okay.
And do I think that Mike Tyson can do an an exhibition while he's training the way he is. No, I don't. I have a great relationship with Roy Jones. I have a great relationship, obviously, with Mike. I think that it's going to turn into a real fight, real fast.
How could it not?
How can it not? Exactly.
Yeah, how could it not? It's like, when you have like two 24-year-olds and they're at a barbecue and they just start wrestling, and within 17 seconds there's elbows involved. Like it just.
And now you've got two of the highest level
Yeah.
athletes.
Yeah.
So I think that escalates. I think it turns fast. I think it's going to be a fight that people are going to talk about for a long time. And my hope is that, we get to see that action go on for a few rounds before somebody, I think I'll reserve my prediction, but in terms of I think what the inevitable is going to be is going to happen.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be great. And mind you, I know Mike's condition. He's not in an exhibition. He's not in exhibition shape.
It doesn't
He's
look
in
like
fight
it.
shape.
Yeah.
He's in fight shape.
Yeah.
And Roy Jones is working with Tommy Yankello, who's a good friend of mine, and they're down in Pensacola working, and I know they're putting in some real work. So Roy's not in play shape either. He's going all out for this. So what an event!
You can't play. Like, I like that it's still being called an exhibition, but we all know
I think that's just to appease people
Yeah.
that maybe are on the. It's just
Yeah.
it's just a sure.
Yeah. just a move about for the camera. Of course it is.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Tell by the way, you can't have a conversation with Roy Jones without him being competitive.
Yeah. Well,
the guy
we had Russ Amber on this time last week, and he's really good friends with Roy, right? And he was like, the amount of pool that those two have played, Roy won't play him anymore because finally he got the one up like 5-4 on Russ, and they haven't been able to play since because Roy's always too busy. Like he's closed that chapter now and he doesn't want to play anymore. Like for a fact that guy will challenge you like I do with my little girls. Like he's gonna win.
No, every conversation is a competition for Roy.
Amazing.
Everything that he does is a competition. So you're going to tell a guy like that, and mind you, his career. Look at what happened to Montel. Was it Montel Griffin that he threw against? You just woke up a giant.
Yeah.
You're actually
that rematch. He punished him.
Yeah. A guy like him, you don't want to be on the other side of the competition, right? And certainly Mike Tyson isn't that guy either.
No.
So, tell these guys to do an exhibition.
Look at him, the boy. He's so excited.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great for everything. I think it's great for the fight game. I think it's Thanksgiving weekend here, so people are going to be home. Families are going to be home. I think it's great. They pushed it back. There's a lot of demand. There's a lot of hype for the fight. Mike's brother-in-law Azim is doing a phenomenal job, with the Legends Only League. And I think that they're doing a good job, in promoting the fight and putting on a fight that everybody wants to see.
Do you have anything to do with the insane card before it, like the MMA Legends that popped up, and now I can't find anything? It was like I dreamt it and sent it to Ian, and then it was
supposed to be at like Henzo Gracie's or something, but it had like Vanderlei Silva
versus Vitor
rematch.
Yeah.
Tito Ortiz was rematching Rashad
Evans, and it was all branded at the Tyson Ranch, wasn't it?
Yeah, but literally, it popped up one day, and then I've not seen anything about. And I was like,
"That's more than I've even heard about it."
Right? Oh.
Because we're trying to get before when this thing first it's in its inception. Every fight on the card was an exhibition.
Yeah.
So we were looking at a big MMA name for Badu, and Tito's name was one of those that surfaced.
Really?
Actually, believe it or not, we had locked in Vidal Riley versus King Mo, and that was a done deal. And then it switched to being a real fight because that's what kind of the demand was. So we got them real opponents. So but I've never heard of that. I don't know if that was a hybrid of those two events together or if it was a standalone.
I don't know, but it was Henzo and Wudum had it up. It was like Wudum Fedor, Tito versus Rashad Evans, and Wanderlei versus Vitor. It was odd. Anyway,
what a platform for Vidal. That is
it's huge. It's a big up, and Vidal knows that. It's a massive op. He's on the pay-per-view Mike Tyson card, and that's due to the great relationship that we have with Tyson, and But Vidal's the kind of guy that's going to rise to every occasion. So when you put him on a platform like that, he fought his second pro fight with the Broner Pacquiao card, and so he rose to that occasion. He scored the only knockout on the whole card. Vidal will perform. We're looking forward to him having a very dominant, good, clean, exciting performance. So that should work out well.
Hell of a team you got, brother. Hell of a team. Respect.
You have.
Respect.
I know we've been blessed with a great team.
Yeah. I mean,
hard work, man.
I trust you already. I know you say question me, but like I can completely see why. Yeah, I completely can see why you are who you are in the industry, right? It's soft-spoken, clear, like you said, transparent. I completely understand it. Like you deal with some people in the boxing game or even combat sports, and you kind of just like, okay, well.
Some promoters you want to shower straight after.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
When you look at fighters as just commodities, and you look at them as just dollar signs, very difficult to build that relationship. This is a very people-oriented business, and unless you've been in gyms and you've actually walked a mile in their shoes, for lack of a better term, then it's difficult to relate to them. Yeah. Sometimes I sit back and please don't take this the wrong way, and I know it's very touchy, but when you have a manager that comes from an entirely different social status and race than most of these fighters come from, and they're trying to relate to them, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work, especially if you have nothing in common. The commonality is money. If money is your only commonality, then you'll never, ever succeed.
No.
And worse so, it's the money that they're earning off them. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's like rubbing their hands at your blood and sweat. I'm getting a new car.
It's and you look at some of, and I've had fortune or unfortunate of looking at some of these contracts, and they're awful. Raju Jack was in an awful management contract. He was 33% to a manager.
Holy shit! That's the max that you're allowed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the absolute max.
For what?
Yeah, for what?
Does he get a salary? He was living in a rundown Roach Motel in the north side of Las Vegas. For what? And mind you, Floyd bought him out of that, and they took care of that for him. So, and who did it though? Floyd. Why? Because he was in that position. Never in that kind of a situation, but he understands it. He gets it.
Yeah. I mean, for me as like a fan, Floyd, he played the heel. He made himself who he is, but he cannot be denied for. He seems a genuinely good dude. He seems very. I mean, he seems similar to you. He seems like you could sit down and have a conversation with him, and I think he would be overwhelmingly intelligent and have so much going on. Like there's always the thing. Like even down to when you see him post fight, when he was still fighting, you would see him drinking that glass of Coke, but it was that much Coke and that much water. On the 24/7s, it was always genius. You always had Floyd cruising around Vegas with a Big Mac and a big drink, and then you got like some guy in the mountains giving it battle ropes, and you're like, yeah, this one's gonna actually put up a fight. And then you realize that Floyd is the executive producer. He's just showing you what he wants you to see, and it's just like the man's a genius.
No, and I mean, there's three things that I never ever argue about with people on social media, and that's religion, politics, and Floyd Mayweather. Because you'll never ever ever win those arguments.
No.
So, and Floyd has done a masterful job at promoting himself and marketing himself and turning himself into $1 billion, the first $1 billion athlete of our time of history. So, and again, Floyd's under that same microscope, and actually more so now. You've got social media now.
I was about to say,
social media was around during Tyson's time.
God,
during his prime, not during the exhibition years.
Yeah.
Prime, what kind of a superstar he'd be, and what kind of waves and the magnitude that would have. So Floyd was around during that time, but he used it to his advantage. 24/7s are a brainchild of Floyd's. In the All Access is the brainchild of Floyd. and the way that
I
he's
watch
painted.
those when I'm doing cardio. I sit on my bike here and I watch 24/7. Like 24/7 Mosley Mayweather is my favorite of all of them. I could probably do a one-man show for you reenacting each episode on both sides. Again, maybe we do that for the Patreon. Just saying.
Is that the one where Roger went to court?
Which one?
Is that the one where Roger went to court?
Yeah.
In front of the hearing? Yeah. That was a good one. But listen, in the 24/7s, and here's the proof. The 24/7s that didn't include Floyd were awful.
Who cares?
Oh yeah.
There was the one that was Roy versus Calzaghe, where for the first 30 seconds, when you got Roy doing the Run DMC in the ring doing the warm up, and then you're like, off that goes. I think that's about it. The only ones that I can remember are yeah.
How did this kid learn without a high school education, without a college degree?
Yeah.
How did he learn to market himself that way? How?
Because he had to. It's innate, isn't it? It's.
I think there's more to that, and there's a special talent that Floyd really knows how to say, what to say, when to say, where to say certain things. But I don't have a personal relationship with Floyd. I'm around Floyd quite a bit, because of the guy and everything that we do. But there's a lot of good. There's a lot of good that Floyd Mayweather does that a lot of people don't see. And
yeah.
He does genuinely take care of the people around him, and he does do some phenomenal things and gives back. But he just doesn't privately. But again, same thing, man. A guy like him, everybody wants one thing from him. That's it.
Yeah. How's Senior doing?
What's that?
How's Senior doing? Floyd Senior. How's
Floyd
Floyd doing?
I was talking to Jeff the other day. I haven't talked to Floyd in a couple of weeks. I got to check up on him, but he's good. Floyd does what he does. He's in the gym, he's working with guys and girls, and he's loving life. His son is the best fighter of our era, arguably in history, and he built that. And Floyd now, little Floyd, now gives every single accolade to that special guest you got there. And that guy,
my wife rescued 2 cats last year, right? Since COVID started, I've had 10 kittens, literally 10 kittens, right? I live on the grounds of a church, and these cats get cracked open and cleaned out so much, and all the vets are closed, so I can't have them fixed. Like, it is, I don't even like cats. Like, what am I meant to do? Like, there's certain points of this year where I've lived in a house of 3 women and 7 female cats. Like, there's just been so much going on. Like, whatever. Anyway, please.
So I mean, that's Floyd is arguably the best fighter of our time, and
Absolutely.
He carries himself, I think, very well, and he's very marketable, and he's still making a ton of money, and I think he's done very well for himself. Who's
your iconic fighter? Who's the one that you, Ali? You part of the Ian crew.
Where is he? There he is. There he is.
Yeah. Yeah. Always. Always.
Muhammad Ali is the only person that I've ever shed a tear for when they passed, but I've never met. And when he had that kind of impact on me, it was like, I remember standing in my kitchen. I mentioned this in the interview a couple of days ago. I cried when I heard that he finally passed, even though it was inevitable. You knew that was going to happen sooner or later. He was in and out of hospitals the last part of his life, and because of how much impact he had on me as a fighter, how much impact he had as a Muslim, as a human, as as an ambassador, as everything. So he was absolutely in and out of the ring.
Have you been to his museum in Louisville?
I haven't.
It's amazing.
I have a cousin that studied there. So,
for anyone that's an Ali fan, that I was fortunate enough to go there, like, really when it just opened. It's amazing. Like, you're talking about laser shadows of him shadow boxing, so you can try and keep up with his speed. Like, it's if you're a fight fan, like the gift shop. If you're an Ali, I've actually got some stuff for you from there because I'm never going to use it, but it's a gift for you, and you if you want one. But yeah, it's a place. If you were ever in like the Midwest, I would definitely say for you to go and have a little look.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
It's a bit heartbreaking. I remember when they came to London, they brought like the original bet, and it just seemed a bit like a farewell. And I was just like, not ready, you know. Like you, it's the exact same thing, and that shows the impact of the man to have such an impact on. He's the guy I just wish I could have seen face to face, but not. And the influence he had on people all around the world on all. I mean, he's another guy. We talk about Tyson, what he went through. Ali saved hostages. You know, it'd be things. If you did one of those things, you'd be like, oh my god, my life is.
Yeah, but didn't Dennis Rodman save a couple of hostages too?
Oh yeah, that's true. That was in North Korea or some shit.
Listen,
I think that Dennis should be more respected than what he is. Right? Let's just say that, right? He's had an illustrious career outside of sports.
Nothing against Rod. Nothing against.
Yeah,
Rod.
exactly. Like when you're mates with Korean dictators, and you know maybe hooked up with Carmen Electra, all you can do is just boom.
Oh, there's no maybe, man. That was relentless and recurring with Carmen.
Respect.
My grandmother, who passed away 15 years ago, knew two boxers, Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson. That's it.
I think that's most people. That's most people. You might get the odd Brit that knows like a Lennox Lewis or a Ricky Hatton, but you know,
you got to be sports specific. Those guys rose above sports.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They rose above sports. So.
Okay, man.
So I mean, you've done literally everything. What is next for you, brother?
I wouldn't say. I appreciate the end, but I'm not. I haven't even scratched the surface. You know, I think that what you probably see is like they call the swan theory, is on surface it might look nice and calm, but underneath the water it's crazy paddling and
choppy with a couple of cops.
So we've got a lot to do yet. We've got a lot to do.
Are you working with any like exciting young new fighters that we probably wouldn't have seen that much of?
There is one very, very big prospect that's been talking to me, and I have to really kind of clear my plate to be able to take it. I'm trying not to take on. If I can't help and I can't, add value, I don't need to get involved. It's got to be something that I'm equally as excited about. You know, a guy like Abdallah Riley, I'm very excited about.
Yeah.
A guy like, the veterans like Badu, I'm excited about. A couple other guys that I'm working with also that, we don't openly and publicly talk about. I'm excited about working with. So,
what length?
The guys that I can add value and that I like personally. Like I'm at a stage now, thank God, financially I'm doing well. So it's not about a financial uptick. It's about more of enjoying the ride and enjoying the person and being able to help them over.
So the boundaries of your role obviously are going to be absolutely vast, like your scope. Like what is, have you've found obviously fighters places to live, you've dealt with every single aspect of their lives, I assume.
And you have to be, I don't want to call it a father figure, even though Vidal calls me dad all the time.
Guardian.
Yeah, no, he calls me dad. You got to be a big brother to them, and you have to. And here's what I tell them: you are the president of this country. I'm simply your vice president or your advisor. I'm going to tell you everything based on my experience, based on my knowledge, and based on my recommendation. But at the end of the day, you make a decision, and I'll support you in every decision you make. But my job is to get you information. Yeah. And then you make the decision. I think that a lot of people try to push them, and guide them to what they should do and how. And there are fighters today that don't know how to act on their own because they've been told what to do, not advised on what to do. What's the old adage that you can catch a fish for someone and feed them for a day.
Teach a man to fish, and
So I think that's a job of an advisor or a manager should be is equip your guy to be able to make good business decisions as he goes on in his career. And I tell Vidal, I tell Badu all the time, question everything that I do. Yeah. Ask me, why do I do it? If I pay you X amount, say, where did that come from? How did it happen? What's your cut? What did you get? What did I get? Ask those questions.
Absolutely.
And those are all things that are I always get all the uncomfortables out of the way first. But those uncomfortables, if you don't address them, they sit in the back and they accumulate. And before you know it, there's distrust that gets built based on a lack of knowledge. Not so much being a traitor or treachery, but it based on a lack of knowledge.
That's how you end up with Mike Tyson in the hotel room.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite Mike Tyson lines when it comes to that is he said, treachery is an art, but a traitor is a piece of shit.
So have you just picked this up from experience, from choices, from life, from career, from everything? I mean, have you done Tony Robbins? Have you done I'm joking when I say Tony Robbins, but like, have you gone into what the psychology, the makeup, like have you ever actually sat with a fighter and just said, look, I care about you too much to see you go through this again. I'm really, really going to say, like, you should be done now. I understand if whatever. And by the same token, have you ever had someone that sat down with you and like, I want to go for this? And you're like, dude, I mean, number one, respect for trying, but it's not going to happen. Like we have to manage our expectations.
I had, Jeff, I'm around a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
And the reason why I can have those conversations with fighters is because I had them with myself.
Right.
And at the end of my career, my last fight, I was, I think, 38 or 39, and I fought a kid that was 22. I could have been his father.
Yeah.
And, thank God I won the fight, but I was checked out mentally. For that fight, and Ian, you might be able to appreciate this, for that fight, I sparred 4 rounds for that fight.
Wow.
4 rounds. Like, where I used to go to the gym and just couldn't wait to get wrapped up and start and get working and checking the rankings and see who's next on my list and who's challenging and having that kind of that flame for it. I wanted to go to the gym and kind of just have coffee with the guys and just joke and talk, and I felt myself step away. So I told Jeff Mayweather, I said, man, I think that this is going to be my last 5 years. If you're thinking about it, you're done.
Yeah.
Because the first time that figment of that thought comes into your mind, you're done.
Yeah.
So I would not recommend you do anything anymore. And I ended up
to respect that.
I mean, for me, I thought it was one of my worst performances. I mean, it was I won a decision, but I thought it was one of my bad performances. And I think I agree with Jeff. I was done with it.
That's so important. I mean, we have a not very eloquent saying in Australia, like, don't piss in my ear and tell me it's raining. But it's true, like having those awkward conversations. It's true. You need someone to keep it real, right?
Saying, isn't it?
We're not known for our fucking poetry, all right? Give me a break.
Yeah.
But it's true.
Val's dad taught me something. He's like, go suck an egg.
Yeah.
I don't know where you guys come up with these things, but
yeah, I'm not sure with that. That's that suck an egg, like, or teach your grandmother to suck eggs was another one, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was tell his grandmother to suck an egg.
Yeah, you're like, what? Why?
That's an intricate, weird story.
Yeah.
Like, where are we going with
this? Wow. So come on, give us some insider stuff. What's next for you? We're going to try and grow out the hair a little bit? Are we? That ship has sailed. I mean, you and me, we could go to Turkey and get implants.
No, remind me, when I went to Turkey with my wife, I didn't know why those people wore that stuff on their head and all the little dots all over their head.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what it was. But apparently that's like the capital of hair.
That's where you get it done. You can have the follicles done and the teeth, and you can be one of the Essex Mandem. I've been looking heavily in getting the tattoo hairline.
We need subtitles.
I did the Rogaine. I fought for my hair.
Me too.
My late 20s, early 30s. I'm done. I'm past that.
Yeah.
I accept. I love. This is my look.
Yeah. I did the Rogaine foam for years, and then I met my wife, and then she just went, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm trying to keep my hair. Like, how would you like a piece of your face falling off?"
But see, I had the opposite. Like during lockdown, I was like,
"Hey, shut up, Ian. Right, look, we know that you have too much hair. You've got a 2 head.
No,
it starts growing at his eyebrows, and he just pushes it back."
The amount of people that said, "Did you get a hair transplant over lockdown?" I'm like, I have hair, motherfucker. It's just like I look ridiculous with it. Like,
it's so rude.
Actually, hey, this is the look. See, I'm gallivanting forward.
When Ian comes to Vegas, man, I'm telling you, the guy, like Floyd loves Ian. Jeff Mayweather loves Ian. No, I mean, you have such a great demeanor and aura about you.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
They just love almost murdering me, man. I've never been so close to death. Bless him. Give him a big hug from me, please.
Yeah. You know, that's 100% on my bucket list. I think when you come next, maybe I come too. Even if I just sit in the corner and just cheerlead. But yeah, I'm all about that. We can maybe run it through the podcast as well. Legitimate expenses.
Want to see a man die?
Yeah.
Brother.
That's really the updates on my end.
Amazing.
Thank
Amazing.
you so much.
Thank you so much.
Such a legend. It's so good to have you on here.
No, my pleasure. Thank you for having me on, and I'll look forward to the next time around.
Yeah, we're looking forward to having you back already.
Thank you, Bob.
Amazing.
Thank you.
So nice to meet you, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it. Ian,
have a great day over there, right? Thank you, brother. See you soon, my man.
Bye.